please welcome Dr. Neelie Kroes. She's Vice President of the European Commission. She is responsible for the digital agenda, and her portfolio includes ensuring trust and security for the internet and new technologies. And if you Google her name, you will be directed, or you will see that she's mainly searched in connection with roaming and net neutrality. So we have to move on and have to push that you will also be searched with the cloud, of course, very much from now on. I don't want to tell you when she was born, but she acts definitely like a digital native now. The floor is yours.
Guten Morgen. It's a pleasure to be in your midst and to be very open to you. My granddaughter, who is 5 years old and who is an American citizen combined with a Dutch passport, living in San Francisco, she and me, myself, we are Skyping on every Sunday afternoon, 9 hours time difference. So she in a very good mood starting the day, and I'm in a good mood to talk with my granddaughter. And I'm certain that it's more fun for me than for her. But having said that, she lately asked me, how old are you, Nene? And I said 72, so that's the answer. And she said, and you are still alive? So you can imagine that I'm in a hurry, and that I'm awake, or anyhow I pretend to be awake and with my people, but even more important in this portfolio and talking about cloud, I am absolutely delighted, and I'm counting my blessings, with the steering group and with the chair, President Ilves. It is a great combination, not an easy one, tough cookie, so to say. A couple of females, so we are making progress. People from governments, people from the private world, the industry, people from the university, people from public organizations, and under leadership of the president of Estonia, they are preparing the way we go. And there is a big step forward, and perhaps you are saying you are pleased with little issues, but I'm aware that when the European Council, so the Council of the leaders of Europe, of the 28 member states, recently, last month, took the decision that it is indeed mentioned, and not only mentioned with a one-liner, with a couple of lines, how important cloud is and how essential it is that the Commission is pushing forward the strategy and that we are coming with proposals. Because, and we were already aware, but we are even more aware, and it's always great when the leaders do have that same attention scope. We are aware that cloud computing offers a massive boost to Europe. And we are talking about how can we get out of the recession? How can we get Europe again in a good shape? And talking about creation jobs. And perhaps your country, Germany, is on the good side, but a lot of other member states are not. And we do have instruments to just get that recovery process, not on hold, but in the mood. For every business, value for money, flexible IT service, just what the most dynamic, innovative companies need. And that is what we are talking of. And by the way, for every European, and I'm always saying, my cloud is my locker, and I keep the key. And I am the one who can give the key to someone else, but only I can do that. And that's rightly mentioned by the chair of the steering commission. For with instant secure access, whenever, wherever, on any device, that is at stake. For every government, the chance to offer integrated, effective public services that serve every citizen without costly contracts in time, that is indeed at stake. No wonder the cloud is worth hundreds of billions of euros to the European economy. and then we are talking. That's not coffee money. The news recently has been very focused on security and on privacy. And therefore, I'm so pleased with the line that the chair of the steering commission has taken and what we also were discussing. We need to make a split to what is true and what is not true, and what is mentioned as an emotional campaign, or perhaps sometimes an emotional remark because people are not really aware. Even journalists sometimes are not really aware what is at stake. But we have to communicate, and that is also one of the big challenges. We have to communicate what's all about and what is really making a difference. And rightly said, it is about integrity. It is not a matter of that we are not aware that some people are spying, and by the way, it is the second oldest profession in the world, so don't be naive and think that you can just cut it off. That's, in my opinion, anyhow, naive. Anyhow, those revelations are astounding, and we must respond, and we must protect ourselves, no doubt about that, but that doesn't mean turning our backs on a huge opportunity, and that is at stake. The EU leaders realized that, I mentioned that already, and they explicitly asked the European Cloud Partnership to help put Europe at the forefront, that we are in the driver's seat again. And such a strong push from the highest level is an unprecedented opportunity for all of us. So let's go for it. But now the question is how? Well, number one, we can develop new interoperable cloud infrastructure across the continent. And for me, a European cloud does not mean a new centralized European super infrastructure. Our role is rather to federate and enhance national, regional, and local initiatives, allowing people, products, and services to freely circulate without borders and barriers. For that is always a surprise for me. We were that smart to get rid of the borders in Europe, single market, per definition without borders. Sometimes that is still with, for example, telco operators, they still use that traditional pattern to bill you for roaming, but we are doing that in another activity to get rid of that. But having said that, a single market without borders, then it means look at the sky and look what is at stake and look what we are talking of. So that is what we have recognized in our recent proposals for a connected continent. And ladies and gentlemen, with a single market for the telco networks that underpin connectivity, for that is connected. And it also applies to the services that run alike and online, like a single cloud market for Europe. And already many member states are consolidating isolated data centers into national clouds. But how about a bit more ambition? What about joint pan-European cloud storage? What if we had public sector systems working across borders for more resilience, better services, greater economies of scale? And we can start today. We just can start today, concretely. Through the Connecting Europe facility, we can already support the key building blocks that enable pan-European services like electronic invoicing, e-signature. And I'm delighted that the legislator has now agreed the legal base for that investment. Second, we can boost demand, particularly from the public sector, about 1/5 of the market. Today, we officially launched a platform for public sector cooperation with this Cloud for Europe initiative. And that's an enormous step forward. Working together, industry, government, researchers, and standard bodies. We can bring down barriers. We can build trust and take off into the cloud. And I'm very much looking forward to the results. And a study out today confirms how many barriers remain to public sector cloud use. We need to analyze those barriers, before we can remove them. Of course, really understanding problems like compliance, risk management, liability, audit, and so on. Much of this was set out in our cloud strategy last year, and in some cases will soon bear fruit, like mapping out standards, as ETSI is doing, or ensuring technical security requirements are mapped onto certification, as ENISA is leading, model service level agreements, and safe and fair contract terms. And as you may know, last week we have proposed the first Horizon 2020 work program. So that means for the next 2 years. We are using a new instrument there to subsidize joint public procurement for innovative cloud services. So I'm certain that Fraunhofer is highly interested. A so-called PPI. And that will be concrete progress, moving from joint experimentation to joint implementation. And third, we can boost supply. In Horizon 2022, we have set out the EU plans for research and innovation funding over the next 2 years. And you should use that chance. Identify those first mover applications that matter, where you can come together, and from generic services to specific applications like culture or education. And Horizon 2020 also supports research and innovation into security and privacy in the cloud, so that European suppliers can offer the best technology and guarantee the highest standards of protection. And fourth, we need to restore trust and transparency. And as I said on Monday at the Bonn Cybersecurity Summit, recent allegations on online spying are indeed shocking. But let's not confuse issues. Issues like data privacy and data and integrity are distinct and should be treated as such. And nor should we be naive, no doubt. Sit there stunned like a rabbit in the headlines. Rather, it's let's respond proportionality. Let's protect ourselves and let's rebuild trust and confidence. And that starts with basic transparency for cloud users. What am I buying? Will the performance meet the promise? What happens if the services goes down? Real questions. Standards and certifications can help in that context, and we are working to provide more clarity and transparency in Europe. But it goes beyond that, including clear undertakings about how data will be used. Has my data been breached? Who can look at your data? When and where and why? Will I be told if it is breached? I want to know exactly when can government access data, and when, if ever, might personal data be transferred outside the EU. We need providing those details to become the norm when you are buying cloud services, and particularly for activities beyond the EU borders. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, our cloud strategy already identified what we need to do. Now let's do it. And I'm talking about the review of standard contractual clauses about transferring personal data overseas and the binding corporate rules the cloud industry is working on. And I'm pleased that the cloud will be dealt in the forthcoming EU-US trade agreement. It should. Those are all positive steps forward. And fifth, we need to make the most of our single market. We owe it everybody, and especially the younger generation, because a European cloud is not just about infrastructure. It is about a strong and consistent European framework. A uniform legal base for data protection is an important part of that. And you shall know that we are making good progress. And in parallel, we are working well with the industry on a code of conduct for data protection in the cloud for endorsement by data protection agencies. That work we will complete during this mandate. This is by less than a year from now. And I think that we have to do it summer of next year. A uniform code matters because our ultimate goal is to embrace the single market. It's our crown jewel, so use it. National limits and restrictions are not the way to bring the cloud boost to our citizens and businesses. Even less the way to conquer the global market. But this is about more than personal data protection. We need information to flow easily and safely, creating value and enabling new services without endangering privacy. And that is not about sharing data as such. It is about creating a common data space with common rules, common policies, common protections, enabling services to work across borders. And many sectors and many industries remain unaware of the power of the cloud for growing their businesses on continental base. And you can think of banking, tourism, healthcare, music, name it. There are so many opportunities just waiting to be grabbed. And I'm clear, we should not impose national limits and restrictions to chain down our data, nor use yesterday's tools, impose yesterday's models to fix tomorrow's problems. Those are not the way to bring Europeans the cloud boost, and even less the way to conquer the global market. We don't need national mini clouds. We need a European cloud that is trustworthy, secure, and that is ambitious. That is at stake. We aren't yet there. I'm not naive. We aren't yet there. There are many barriers to data flows within Europe. We need to identify them. We need to figure out how you might dismantle them and look at the cost and benefits. People have a choice about whether to size those opportunities. Companies have a choice about where to locate. Systems need to be secure. But without a dynamic market, without choice, quality and economics of scale, people won't use these at all. Or they will just go overseas to get them. Well, that was not what I was dreaming of. And that is the opposite. And that, I think, we should not go for. So let's set off on the right path. Let's take down the barriers that our single market faces. Let's develop the technology that will enhance our competitiveness. And the twin forces of technology and trade can bring about more innovation, more security, and more opportunities. And those are my 5 steps up to a European cloud. Investing in key pan-European service infrastructures, stimulating demand through government procurement and supply, through research and innovation, building trust and transparency, and developing a single market for data where economies of scale stimulate a vibrant, dynamic market and European solutions. Europe has a great opportunity. The opportunity is now to become the home, the world's leader in trustworthy cloud computing. The European Council has given up momentum, and let's use it what they were saying. So I'm highly pleased that the industry is supportive and committed. Let's lead the world with services that perform, data that is protected, systems that are secure. And let's go for it and not wait till tomorrow. Thank you.